The Right Reverend John Richard, the Right Reverend Adrian Newman, you are most welcomed to the House of the Iranian Resistance. I would like to extend my New Year greetings to you and to all Christians of Britain. It is a blessing to start the new year by meeting you, respected bishops. True Islam teaches us that all mankind are sisters and brothers. Our relations with Christians and Jews are the opposite of extremists who, under the name of Islam, oppress followers of other religions, just as they suppress the majority of Muslims who represent democratic and tolerant values of Islam. Iran's ruling mullahs pretend to defend the Shiite branch of Islam, but more than 90% of their victims are Shiite Muslims. Therefore, the dispute is not about religions, but rather about liberty versus tyranny. Wasn't liberation the message of all prophets for mankind? Didn't Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad come to free all mankind? The Quran repeatedly mentions the Blessed Virgin Mary as one of the most prominent women of the world and as a model of piety. There is a chapter in the Quran called Mary. And for the women of Iranian resistance, and particularly myself, the Virgin Mary is an eternal example. Therefore, one should ask what justification is there for the rulers of Iran or any other extremist group to harass and murder Christians? There is none. At this point, I would like to pay tribute to the memory of 3 martyred Iranian priests. Bishop Hosepian Mehr, Pastor Dibaj, and Bishop Mikhailian. They were brutally killed by the Iranian regime because they did not submit to the ruling tyranny. Fortunately, church leaders worldwide have come to our aid, as you. I deeply appreciate your efforts in defending members of the Iranian resistance in Camp Liberty. Whenever they are attacked, you come to their aid. This shows that God has blessed them for remaining steadfast. I would also like to especially thank you for your initiative in issuing a declaration in support of members of the Iranian resistance in Camp Liberty. This is your initiative. Thank you very much. You are certainly aware that Camp Liberty is still exposed to attacks. There are no buildings, and this makes them very vulnerable. On the other hand, the Iranian regime is in a deadlock, both inside Iran and in the region. Therefore, it has stepped up its threats against the freedom fighters of Camp Liberty. Of course, their only crime is that they have stood for freedom. Their only crime is that they defend tolerant and democratic Islam against mullahs' Islamic extremism. If there were any freedom in Iran, people would have quickly gathered to support these freedom fighters and end dictatorship. But the mullahs have so far curbed the society by ongoing executions and mass arrests on a daily basis. In fact, under the pretext of religion, they have set up a fascist regime that inspires Daesh, Boko Haram, and other extremist groups. This regime has created most of the terrorist groups in the Middle East, like the Hezbollah of Lebanon, the Houthi of Yemen, and a dozen other groups in Iraq. 2.5 years ago, Rouhani became president of this religious dictatorship, claiming an intention to moderate their ways. But he uses deception to mask dictatorship. His record, including 2,000 executions, shows Rouhani's true colors. 52 people have been hanged in Iran in the first 2 weeks of January alone. Clearly, executions and arrests have escalated during his term, as well as poverty and unemployment. A few days ago, the implementation of the nuclear agreement was started. Of course, the mullahs never wanted to retreat in their nuclear weapons program. But the Iranian resistance disclosed the regime's secret nuclear sites. The Iranian people were against this expensive program. The international community imposed sanctions, and the regime was forced to retreat under pressure. And now we can see that the regime's crisis has intensified. Infighting within the regime has major dimensions on the eve of the sham elections for the parliament and the assembly of experts. Based on the same experience, now it's time to put pressure on the mullahs to stop human rights violations in Iran, to stop the executions, to compel them to stop massacre of the people of Syria, to stop export of terrorism and fundamentalism, and to stop attacking Camp Liberty. This is the road to peace and stability in the region, and fortunately, in recent months, our compatriots have stepped up their protests all across the country. In the past week alone, there have been 155 demonstrations, strikes, and protests, which has scared the regime. Despite the suppression and killings in Iran and attacks on Camp Liberty, we are confident that the people of Iran will achieve freedom. We are striving for a democratic society based on separation of religion and state, for gender equality, and for abolition of the death penalty. And in this quest, we will continue to need your assistance. I thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.